A gender-affirming hysterectomy is very similar to most hysterectomies that occur. A hysterectomy itself is the removal of the uterus, the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus, and the fallopian tubes, which are attached to the sides of the uterus. Some gender-affirming hysterectomies will also include the removal of the ovaries, but that's technically a separate procedure called a bilateral oophorectomy. And not every gender-affirming hysterectomy includes that, and people who are getting gender-affirming hysterectomies do not have to have their ovaries removed.
You're a children's hospital. I mean, what? Welcome back to the channel today, everyone. So, Boston's Children's Hospital has gained a lot of attention for some videos they put out on gender-affirming care and the ages they perform surgeries on. But is this just one extreme hospital or just foreshadowing of what the standards are going to be here across the board? I will get into that, but first, a word from our sponsors, the AP for Liberty shop. Get all your Liberty gear at my friend Austin Peterson's shop, like this George Washington Buddha, and make sure to use the link in the description to also support your girl. So use the link below to also support me, as well as if you just want to support this channel, I just recently opened a Buy Me a Coffee account, so that link is below as well. Alright, so on to the Boston Children's Hospital. Videos that the hospital made about trans healthcare have been spreading across social media. Now when I watch some of them, I think they might actually be good information for adults. Like the one about vaginal or phalloplasty. Those ones actually have some decent information, but for adults. And then you see the one like in our intro. See, what makes this a gender-affirming hysterectomy? I mean, it's not an outer organ, so it's not something that has to take place to help with gender dysphoria. See, they put the word gender-affirming in front of it, so it sounds better than taking the uterus out of a young adult. And from what I can see, is a hysterectomy is more about convenience, and so the person doesn't have to have a period or they have male listed on their documentations. But I'm not female to male, so I am really not as well versed in the complications that can come from keeping your uterus and taking testosterone. So I would have to deflect to some of my other female to male friends. I am assuming though it's much the same way as an orchidectomy is for a trans woman, or the removal of the testicles so they don't have to worry about testosterone blockers anymore. There really is no other reason for that. I mean, the biggest question is why we are talking about these life-altering surgeries for children and teens. I mean, this is a children's hospital, and before this uproar, we do know that it was listed that they perform these procedures on teens. As my friend Christina Buttons reported, the age for a vaginoplasty was listed as 17 on their website, but that has since been reversed to 18. We also know that Marcy Bowers in the What is a Woman documentary admitted to performing a vaginoplasty as young as 16. We know that top surgeries are happening as young as 14. We've seen this many times, and there's plenty of examples of this happening. We know Jazz Jennings had her surgery at 17. So you don't have to look too far. I mean, currently on their website, they still have listed that they will perform breast augmentation for males and a mastectomy for females at the age of 15 with parents' consent. And what's kind of interesting about this hospital is they, on their website, under their gender-affirming care section, said that they deal with patients as young as 3 and as old as 25. This is, again, on their website. You can go and look at it right now. I looked at it this morning. So basically they are working with these children all the way from the age of 3, starting them on puberty blockers at the first moment possible, and then still touting the lies that blockers are reversible.
Puberty blockers are a group of medications or hormones that we use in the transgender population to stop puberty from progressing. They're a class of medications, we call them in endocrinology gonadotropin-releasing hormone analogs or agonists, and their job is to really interfere with the signaling from the brain to either the ovaries or the testicles that produce the hormones. When somebody starts puberty, we can use them to stop the puberty from progressing, thereby allowing somebody to really explore their gender without having the pressure of having secondary sex characteristics that are often permanent. And the really nice thing about puberty blockers is that they are reversible. So it's a really nice way for an adolescent to be able to explore their gender. We like to use them in birth-assigned males who have already even gone through a full male puberty, because they are able to then use a lower dose of estrogen.
In which I've pointed out in another video, the now president-elect of the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, or WPATH, Marcy Bowers, has contradicted that in a video that I pointed out a few months ago.
Second is was an observation that I had, that every single child who was, or adolescent who was truly blocked at Tanner stage 2 has never experienced orgasm. I mean, it's really about zero. These are of course, these are just assigned male at birth, so trans feminine, and it's because they never in their lives are exposed to testosterone. That doesn't change. So blockers prevent the rise of testosterone, and they don't really go on testosterone at or around surgery or into adulthood. And so we don't know. They're going to have this sensation. There's no question about that. But are they going to be able to achieve sexual satisfaction? It's important in relationships. And I know that from my work with female genital mutilation survivors, that the lack of being able to be intimate with a partner is very important. And so this is what really raised the red flag for me, is to say, look, we need to have our eyes open about it. I think it's been beneficial talking about it. I know Joe and many others have reported to me, they've changed their approach a little bit in their informed consent models, and that we're talking about masturbation now. We're talking about, okay, that's an area of the body that's got very dysphoric for you, but you know what? It's all a penis is just a large clitoris. I mean, it's all the same material. It really is. So use it for the pleasurable purposes, partially that it was intended, and we'll see what happens. But these are to be answered questions. So can we avoid puberty and get good adult results? And secondly, how do we assure someone that they're going to be able to be sexually responsive? Do we remove the blockers during the course of their adolescence and let a little bit of puberty come back? Do we delay it a little bit, maybe into Tanner's 3 or 4, maybe before they have their first orgasms, maybe?
So which is it? Are they completely reversible? Or do they completely prevent a person from being able to orgasm into adulthood? Which is it? Because these professionals are definitely contradicting each other on this point. And one is seemingly the head of WPATH. Now, this could also be a case of the hospital jumping the gun on the new guidance that's about to come out from WPATH. In a draft version of the new WPATH guidance, they are looking to lower the ages of these care. So they are looking to lower the age of hormone replacement therapy to 14, where it used to be 16. At 15 years old for chest masculinization or top surgery, mastectomy. 16 or above for breast augmentation, facial feminization surgery, lowering the age to 17 for medioplasty, orchidectomy, vaginoplasty, and hysterectomy, and frontal orbital remodeling of the gender-affirming treatment. And then maintaining that 18 or above for phalloplasty. So what they could actually be doing is looking at scrapping puberty blockers completely in favor of just moving to HRT from the get-go. Age of 14, where it used to be 16, is pretty significant. Which again, a child cannot consent to. This is before the age of consent. It's absolutely not right, and I want to highlight what my friend Colin Wright said on the topic. I don't care what guidelines you're following as a doctor. If you're mutilating the healthy genitals of a child, you deserve to be imprisoned. I was just following guidelines is no excuse for your broken moral compass. You are a danger to society. Following orders or just following guidelines isn't an excuse. You are culpable. Now, I do want to say unequivocally that violence and threats of violence against these people are also unacceptable behavior and only make it harder for us to create real change and actually help these kids. When you look like an extremist, it's easy for them to write you off. Don't do it. And again, I really don't care what adults do with their body, period. Just leave the kids alone. The age of 18 should be a complete set standard for anybody who wants to have any surgeries, period. If you are, I don't care what your reason for having a hysterectomy is at 18, go for it. Though I do know that gender affirming care in some places in the world gets more attention and actually gets prioritized over other hysterectomies. I had a friend in Australia who's been open about her story where she had to lie and say that she was a trans man to get a hysterectomy that saved her life. But what adults do with their bodies is nobody else's business. But what you are doing to children is not right. We are setting them up on a path of irreversible damages, even as the detransition rate continues to skyrocket. Stop doing it. But with that, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Click that like and subscribe button. Make sure you go support our sponsors. Follow me across all social media platforms, and I will see you next time.